season's all over, but there's still much to talk about. The Volley is back for the end of season wrap-up, and we are live.
The following is a Matt Attack production for SJP World Media.
Indeed, we are live on YouTube, X, and on Twitch as well. I'm Magnificent Matt Lewis, and it's Tuesday night, which is a rare time for us to be here on the Volley. But we wanted to get this out before the Euro start, and the Olympics for that matter. I am joined, as always, by my footballing brother from another mother, Mr. Dan Griffin. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Definitely not frantically scrabbling around trying to get something sorted.
You're all good, buddy. You're all good.
Oh, that's an echo.
It did an echo, but I've hopefully sorted it now. It's all good. And
professionalism.
Very much professionalism. Unfortunately, we'll just get rid of this. We've got a little gremlin in the chat, in the thing there. Okay, we'll drop that out. There you go.
Was that sad?
Not exactly, no. We have also got another one, of course. Konor, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, guys. Good to be here on a Tuesday afternoon, ready to talk some footy.
Always a good thing, for sure. Always a good thing. We've obviously had a lot to talk about for the whole season. So much has gone on. We've had records broken. We've had new champions crowned. We've had Sai lose his mind during the season when he came on to rant about Man United, which is one of my favourite moments ever. We saw the first trophy awarded on the Volley to the Columbus crew. We were doing that live, that stream live. Conor's extremely happy about that. I think he's still basking in that a little bit, to be fair, as well, and rightly so. We have got people in the chat. We will come to you guys in a moment, of course. Welcome along, of course. And, of course, Dan, it was just nice to get back in the swing of things after taking a couple of months off with the last game of the season, ironically enough.
Yeah, we got it right at the end.
Before we get to talking about the Premier League season and what's gone on, do we have any particular highlights from the season on the Volley? I've got a funny feeling Konor may have an obvious one. So I'll come to you momentarily then, Konor. Dan, you got a favourite?
The return, to be honest. Partially because it's the most recent and you put me on the spot. But yeah, it was just nice to be back. It was really good, actually, early season, because I watched more football than I've watched in years for this show, and it really helped sort of just bring back my love of the game as a whole. Previously, I've just been watching Liverpool matches, the odd Leeds match. Now, I just can't get enough. I'm watching Liverpool matches, any random matches. I've started going to York City, my local club, bit of non-league football, which has been an absolute joy. So yeah, just watching the football with you guys brought back a proper deep love of the game rather than just watching Liverpool.
I love working alongside you, Dan, as well this season. It's been wonderful. When I approached you, you were like, "I'm not ready yet," sort of thing. That was obviously before the season started, and well, you have been a delight. A delight to podcast alongside. I hope you're going to be humble. He wasn't at all. Konor, is it obvious your favourite moment of the season? Has his internet decided to be sponsored by Dan Griffin?
It is,
no.
But I've also rekindled my...
I see your legs come back. It's all good. We're good.
And now Connor's muted, even though he's talking.
Yeah, Connie, mute yourself. That's Thank you. Just to show we're live, guys. There you go, Connie. Yes. Connie, since you got a bit of a lag, you talk, and we'll just like shut up when you start talking. All right, so don't worry about us, okay?
I might have to switch to my phone. Give me 1 second.
You do that, buddy. You do that. We got we can fill for time. It's all good while you're doing that. While we glance at the chat while we're down, who we got in today? Who we got in? As the numbers keep going up, which is brilliant.
The Photoshop wizard himself, King Pig's Bladders, is the first one in. Evening, gents. Evening, KPB.
Evening, sir.
Connor multitasking, replying. My brother from the same mother, Cam, hey Upspud, how are you doing? Says, hey, you're the volley. KPB pointing out one of Connor's, thank you for your input, Chris. Love that. KPB telling Connor, and he got the joy of experiencing some quality Arsenal games, which he did. Incredible evening, incredible season even for Arsenal. And then just KPB and Cam with the very cordial hellos. Very civilised, not like that uncouth mess on chain wrestling last night that I in no way contributed to.
I got to admit, I dipped in early and then I had to dip in late and I had to dip out quite soon after, so I missed everything more or less. I'll be catching the audio version later in the week, but I'm questionably telling everything was a good show last night, I'm guessing.
Oh, damn good show as always. They'll yes, thanks, Chris. He agrees. Damn good show as always from the Chain Wrestling Boys on a Monday. Can't beat a bit of Psy and Dole, the top shelf mags.
Yes, and Cam is already asking you the question: when's the next One Chip Challenge?
Absolutely fucking never.
I tell you what, let me answer on your behalf, Dan, because Cam, the next One Chip Challenge you're doing. You're doing.
No, I quite like my nieces. I quite like my nieces to grow up with the dad.
Well, that's I'm saying. I ain't gonna fucking do
it. We'll stitch Connor up. It's fine.
Well, Connor's still what it's like. He ain't gonna do it, is he?
He might. He's young.
He's got his whole life to recover, of course. Right. So let's and obviously, guys in the chat, just chime in whenever you want with what we're talking about. We will come to you as we go down things. I'm going to pop at the bottom of the screen now the final standings of the Premier League, so people can like glance at that while we're talking. Connor is now back with us, so I'm just going to quickly switch a few things around quickly.
Just quickly in the chat, Cam saying Volley hosts first, then he shall oblige. So I'm assuming that's you and Connor both have to do it before Cam will. And KPV saying no one in their right mind would do it. And that's why I did it, because apparently I'm not in my right mind.
Indeed. Connor, you back with us?
Yep. We
awesome.
Good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good, buddy. So yeah, you were saying that you it's an obvious pick, but as I say, as you take the swig of water, so that's perfect timing, Matt, as always. So what? Give us your thoughts then. Looking back at when the crew won the cup, what's your overriding memory? Because apart from screaming and running around like a blue-ass fly, because that will be ingrained in mine and Graham's memory for a long time to come.
Probably what I remember the most is the second goal right before halftime. The ball over the top from center back Motai Amundsen to put it on a dime for Yaya Boa to score that second goal, which eventually would end up being the winning goal in that game. That pass isn't talked about a lot enough. In the system that Wilfred Nancy plays, a lot of players were converted. Amundsen he was a left back. He was an outside back, but Nancy said, no, he's not. He's the third center back in the back three. And for a center back to have the pinpoint accuracy to just loft the ball over the top for an on-setting wing back is just something that's amazing to see. And that's probably something I'm going to remember for as long as I live.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we were off the air when Liverpool wrapped the Carling Cup, as it was back in the day, the Carabao Cup is now, because of course we were dealing with, unfortunately, a family emergency down, of course, weren't we, that day? So we couldn't get.
Few things happened.
Yeah, but things are all good now. So we weren't able to cover Jurgen Klopp's last trophy, as it turned out. We were hoping we get more, obviously. So much is changing with the end of this season.
The managerial merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round. I've never seen the amount of changes, and some of the weird changes as well.
Yeah, Vincent Kompany relegated, going to Burnley. Relegated with Burnley, going to Bayern. Pochettino sacked after dragging Chelsea to Europe. And then them appointing Enzo Maresca, who's just come up. Ten Hag, will he stay? Will he stay? Will he go? It's mental. Klopp gone.
He should stay because he's won a trophy. He should, but they probably won't. That's really bad. Maresca, apparently Chelsea are going to pay about £10 million in compensation. That's what I've heard. That's quite a hefty chunk of change.
De Zerbi.
De Zerbi. He's out. He walked away from Brighton, and that's, I've got a lot of time for De Zerbi. I mean, bearing in mind, obviously the bottom, of course, there. Brighton, of course, didn't even finish top half this season.
You guys failed to mention the whole Xavi thing going on with Barcelona.
Konor, go ahead. Yeah.
I think it was January or February. He said he was going to leave at the end of the season, and then they convinced him to stay another year to finish out his contract. Because I don't think this current contract that he's on expires until June of 2025. And then all of a sudden, he says he wants to stay. They tell him to stay. He says he's going to stay another year, and then they can him not even a month and a half later, and they hired Hansi Flick. Like this is the definition of what's the word I'm looking for?
Batshit.
Incompetency. Barcelona.
This is worse than Watford, because Watford, at least when they sack someone, it's coming. But what I don't understand, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, you're pretty good at this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They sacked Xavi, but he was going to walk away in January for nothing.
Yep.
So now they've got a bankrupt club have now got to pay him off.
The math ain't mathing, is it?
No, it's not. And I don't know if Graham in the chat or not. I'm not got an eye on the chat, but if he is in the chat, I'm pretty sure he's just laughing at the side of his face about that, because he does love his maths, does Graham.
My internet went potato-y for a second.
Yeah, mine's a little bit as well, unfortunately. I mean, I've got a funny feeling that it's trying to keep up with everything we're doing, because I'm just doing things in the background at the same time, which is fun.
So, we'll just dive into the chat. Cam pointing out Wayne Rooney to Plymouth Argyle. Yes. Interesting move. And KPB asking how long is Ange going to survive at Spurs? Yeah, the question of Ange at Spurs, he bought himself a lot of good grace, I think, at the start of the season, and he's a very likeable bloke. I think now the problem is a bit of disillusionment with Ange and the fan base after the whole, cheering them getting beat just to fuck Arsenal over.
Yeah, not ideal for sure. I do know for a fact that they have now agreed a deal with Leipzig to extend the loan of Timo Werner for another year.
With an option to buy of around 15 million.
15, was that 1.5? Or 5.0?
Yep.
15? That feels like a very, very cheap deal for me.
Considering he went to Chelsea for 55.
Yes.
Can I go back to the Wayne Rooney thing for a second here?
Yeah.
Of course you can, mate. Yeah, of course you can.
Here's what I don't understand. Wayne Rooney all of a sudden leaves DC United after about a year and not even a year. Then he takes the Birmingham job. Keep in mind, Birmingham at the start of the season, they were in sixth place in a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. They fire their manager, bring in Wayne Rooney, and all of a sudden they drop into the relegation zone. Wayne Rooney is fired, and then they bring in, can't think of the guy's name right now. He finishes out the season, they get relegated, and then I think they canned him.
Yep.
Yeah, it is like a parade of clowns this season. Some of the board of directors. I'm thinking I understand like people getting fired end of season sort of thing if it's not gone well. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. If you had a bad season, if you got relegated, I understand people getting canned for that. If you've not finished in the Champions League spots and you're down in like 8th place, you should be getting fired. But you've also won a trophy, sort of thing. So some things like the balance out sort of thing. It can be extremely weird how that works.
Football's a weird business.
I mean, it is weird business for sure. It is weird business. As young Griff says, Spurs is nearly as cursed manager as Chelsea. Chelsea doesn't look it does feel like a cursed chalice. I mean, I've said this like a few times, but I think right now, Dan, you are the third in line for the Chelsea job at this point.
I'd turn it down before Maresca.
I say, you know the joke with Chelsea, you rent, you don't buy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Chelsea especially since Bowley took over. I mean, what a shit show! But they're on 10. They're going to be on 10 managers in 10 years.
It's depressing. It's depressing when you look at it that way for sure. KPB the chat is saying same Man United, and well, we can't really argue that thing for sure. Are you back with
Sorry about that. I am indeed. Yeah, and I was just saying 10 managers in 10 years. That problem predates Bowley. But that was back when Abramovich could throw his money around. And admittedly, Bowley's done the same. But at least Abramovich knew how to do it.
Chelsea has become the watch. Sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to make a joke and say Chelsea has become the Watford of the Premier League with all these managers. And here's what I don't understand. I doubt Todd Bowley's watching this show right now. But if he is, from American to American, Todd, you can't coach up, you can't build a team of young players if you're firing managers every single season.
And signing young players without a structure in mind, without a formation, without a style of play, it's just throwing money away because it took someone like Pochettino who can make chicken salad out of chicken shit to get a tune out of.
Here's what I would tell Bowley. Do what you're doing with the LA Dodgers and Major League Baseball. Buy young players and then loan them out. You can use the loan system to leagues like League One and the Championship.
Chelsea already do.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I'm just trying to help the guy out here.
I get you.
Yeah.
What? Two things there. One, Chelsea had more players on loan this season than their first team. Okay, as they do every year. Second point, I come on this show to get away from people talking about MLB. Okay, so please stop bringing it up. Okay, seriously. Greg can watch it back. He's gonna be laughing like a drain. Graham's taking summer off from Good Cop Bad Cop, and I've got to deal with no baseball at that point. It'd be bliss. So please don't give me more baseball to listen to. Konor.
So over to Liverpool's owners and the Boston Red Sox.
Yes, but they don't do the same thing on that side of things, to be fair.
Isn't like the Leeds owners the same owners who run the 49ers?
No idea.
I have no idea, buddy. No idea at all on that side of things. But let's talk about Leeds before we get to the Premier League wrap up. they didn't get back to the Premier League in the playoffs. I am going to say unfortunately, because a lot of people thought they were going to beat Southampton. A lot of people wanted to beat Southampton. Not for the reason most people think. It's mainly because they didn't like the major politician who supports Southampton. That's a really weird reason to not like a football team, I tell you. A really weird reason to not like them. But two of the three went down and come straight back up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. And I apologise for this, and Ipswich as well. I can say that, of course, because they are a local rival to my hometown club.
Wasn't that Jim Carrey's character's surname in The Mask?
Very possibly, yes. Very possibly.
Just quickly on Leeds, though, they are in trouble next season because they have got a vast amount of loan players coming back, the likes of Robin Koch, Brendan Aronson, and Diego Llorente, and I think, and a few others, who are coming back on massive wages that they need to ship out somehow. It is going to be an absolute fire sale to try and balance the books at that club. And if that means Liverpool get Crescencio Somerville, brilliant.
Yeah, Konor, come in.
When I look at Leeds, I think Aronson's gone. I think Leeds either loan him out again or they ship him out to another championship club or possibly in Germany. I mean, when we look at Brendan Aronson, everybody talks about like what role does he play because everybody thinks about it from a U.S. men's national team standpoint. What role does he play for the U.S.? And can he, because he's like a attacking mid-winger hybrid. Well, the problem is at the U.S., at the national team level, and like every other club team in the world, we're pretty much set on attacking midfielders and wingers. So it's like, where do you play a guy who's either a 10 or a winger?
Are you someone who's a 10, Conor? Are you alluding to what come up later on by any chance for that? We'll come to that later on, of course. Right. Maybe. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Our last show got taken off the air for copyright reasons. This one we can take it down because for other reasons. Let's talk about the Premier League season. Let's start with the what more can be said about the top of the league this season? One of the most exciting title races for a while. Up until the last month, 3 teams in it.
That's a bit generous. Liverpool imploded quite spectacularly.
Yes, Liverpool dropped away quickly towards the end, but Arsenal hung in to the final day alongside Man City, who have won their 4th Premier League trophy in a row.
The first team ever to do so.
Indeed, there is no doubt that team is amazing. The question I have, and it's a question not just to you two, but also to the chat as well, is this Man City team the greatest team in league history?
Yes. To put it bluntly, you can't really argue it in terms of their success. A quadruple, 4 in a row leagues, consistently above 90 points. This is a Guardiola dynasty, and it's an achievement in itself for managers like Arteta and Klopp to keep pace and push Guardiola and Man City to the limit. I think Guardiola said it himself in his post-match press conference when he was asked about Klopp leaving, that Klopp, and by association, managers who come second by a point or two, they push him to be better and to keep those standards and to keep that drive. You can't talk about City without mentioning the charges. Yes, they are there, but the fact is that the manager and the players on the pitch still have to execute, still have to gel, still have to play, still have to win. And they just keep doing it. The word for them is juggernaut. Man City are a footballing juggernaut, and it will take something incredible to stop them.
KPB agreeing with you, sir, despite the fact he's gone to see a man about a giraffe, apparently. Long story, I'm sure.
No, just lastly, what we'll say, does that mean I like to watch them? Does it mean I think they're the most entertaining team to watch? No, it doesn't, because I said juggernaut, maybe Thanos is more applicable because they are inevitable, and eventually it just gets boring.
That is fair. Konor, your opinion, sir?
I'm going to say, well, pretty much everything Dan said. They're one of the best teams ever. 5 in a row, I think they can, depending on how long Pep stays, they can rival what Bayern Munich did up until this year in the Bundesliga. I mean, Bayern Munich were 11-time Bundesliga champions for a reason, and I see no reason why Man City can't equal or beat that record for consecutive league wins.
I'm going to, whilst I do agree with everything you both have said, 115 charges, to put that to one side, because it's hard to do, but given everyone puts an asterisk next to our fucking title win, I'm going to put one next to theirs as well. And all of their title wins for that matter. But, to be fair, as Daniel said, you got to get a job done still. I do have, I think that last season's City team was better than this one. I don't think this City team is the greatest. No, last year's. I'd happily put that argument up there.
The quadruple winners.
But didn't win the quad.
They're not treble winners. Sorry.
Yeah, they didn't win the quad. No one's ever won the quad in Britain, and that's a good thing, because I think that once that's won, then that'll be like whatever sort of thing. That they are up there with the triple winning Man United team from the 90s. They're up there with the Invincibles for sure. They're up there with teams that literally wipe the floor with opposition. You know, like go back, it's like when Leeds were dominating in the early 90s, that sort of thing. There are periods of time where some teams are just relentless and are just brilliant, and whether you want to admit it or not, and I hate admitting it, Manchester City at the moment are the benchmark. Whether or not that bench is actually, it's actually got hollow legs because it's been because of all the financial issues. I mean, we mentioned it, the lack of transfer activity this past January, because people didn't want to go down the Everton, Nottingham Forest route, and let's face it, Leicester City are coming up on the same problem right now as well. Yeah, and let's not forget, of course, as well, that just because these 115 charges, you need to address them, and then we can put it on one side, okay? We still don't know what the punishment is going to be if they're found guilty.
And that's so. Just to break it down very quickly, this is why it's so difficult to talk about the charges, because the 115 charges don't relate to any single theme. There are multiple charges, like dozens, some dozens in this thing, some dozens in that thing, blah blah blah. Which is why this case has been so difficult, because the nature of the charges and the breadth of issues that they cover mean that each type of charge is going to have could have a different punishment, and it's how you bring that case before a court or whatever governing body, and that's why the only thing you can say about the charges is we'll have to wait and see, because it is too big almost to wrap your head around. Yeah,
because we have covered it before. Some of the charges are about them not cooperating. Well, that doesn't sound good, usually. I mean, applying F1 to that sort of thing, I've seen when one of the F1 teams refused to hand over data, sort of thing, and to this day, 30 years later, they still don't know if they were cheating or not because of the information they didn't hand over. So, yeah. Go on.
How can you cheat in motorsports? That's what I.
Konor, don't set him up. This will be 4 hours.
Konor, I'll talk about this with you on a motorsport based show, okay? But I'm just saying that we may never know for the full ins and outs of this case. And
Yeah,
I
maybe
would like to hope, for integrity's sake, that Man City found it innocent. For integrity's sake, because then you start saying do you start retroactively like awarding championships and trophies? That feels wrong. That feels wrong that it had to go down that route. I know Dan's nodding, but the fact matter is, Dan, is that Man United would still be ahead of us on league titles.
Who cares about them?
I want to get to 21 before them. That's all.
Well, you know what? We're talking about records, and we're talking about
yes,
record-breaking teams. Shall we talk a bit of Premier League and a couple of this season's records?
That's a good idea, mate. Yes.
So first off, the highest scoring Premier League ever. 1,246 goals across 380 matches, an average of 3.28 per game. Most of those scored past Sheffield United.
You say that, but it did end up with goals against over 100. That is, I don't think even Derby were that bad.
No, and they only got 11 points.
Yeah, well,
Erling Haaland. Top scores again. Sorry, Matt, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, and as you can see at the bottom, of course, Sheffield United got 5 points more, which is not good. You're saying that about Haaland.
No, just a couple of things. Yeah, just individual records. Top scorer Erling Haaland, 27 goals, and people said he had a shit season. Golden Gloves, David Raya, 16 clean sheets. Surprisingly low, but when in a high-scoring league like that, it's not going to be massive. Now, here's one for you. The biggest home win.
Yeah.
You think who that was?
The biggest home win.
I'm going
to
go Newcastle. Was it 5-1 over Aston Villa?
It was fairly late in the season. Mid-April. Chelsea 6, Everton 0.
Oh yes.
Oh.
If you remember
that was when Chelsea had that late surge, and me and Dan couldn't stop laughing on Twitter.
Yeah. The biggest away win happened in September. The aforementioned Sheffield United losing 8-0 to Newcastle, if you remember that.
That was the game we were thinking we got running around. Yeah, they literally collapsed.
We watched that.
We covered it right here on the Volley, of course.
Yeah.
We covered
that. In terms of games covered, that's one of my highlights because it was just mental.
And I want to point this out. A lot of people, Graham included, had a go at me saying, "Why have you picked that game to watch?" I was like, "It's when we were all available to cover a game that weekend." And it ended up being mesmerising for the wrong reasons. And we gave man of a match to woman knitting in the front row.
Oh, God, love her. She was amazing. But not the only.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, not the only game to feature 8 goals.
No.
Chelsea 4, City 4, if you remember that in the November. We covered that, I believe.
We covered that as well. That was Cole Palmer with a hat-trick, I believe.
Yeah, brilliant game. And Newcastle 4, Luton 4 in February.
Been some amazing games this season. I mean, Arsenal were a tactical masterclass against Liverpool earlier in the season as well.
Yeah.
Much as I don't like to admit that, they were supreme. He's here. Yes, we're going to get to that momentarily, Graham. Watch this back later on at times too. You'll love some of the mathematics jokes we made at the start. I've completed my train of thought now. Dan, you speak.
Well, it's fine. I'll go back to the the records. The longest winning run was Man City, went 9 matches unbeaten. The longest unbeaten run, Man City, 23 matches unbeaten. No, I'm literally just in the other room. I normally record over there.
Konor, on the other hand, is in his villa. Konor, however, is in the villa.
Longest winless run, bless them, Sheffield United, 14 matches without a win.
14.
The longest losing run, 7 matches, Sheffield United. Highest and lowest attendances. Pretty easy to figure out given the size of the grounds.
I'm going to say the highest is probably Man United.
Man United versus West Ham, 4th of February, 73,612. Don't know how many of those had to have armbands, but...
God almighty, that was brilliant.
And the lowest attendance?
Lowest attendance, I'm going to guess... I want to say Kenilworth Road, but I'm not going to because you shook your head there. I'm going to say
Bournemouth. Sheffield United?
No, Matt was right, Bournemouth. Bournemouth and Chelsea playing out a bar draw, 0-0, 10,421 on the 17th of September. I wish there was an SJP timeshare. Great,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sharon's got all the money. It's fine.
So yeah, that's just a few things coming up there, and we do have I've picked out a player of the year for each club. We've got a couple of other features coming up. So Matt, where do you want to start? We're going to grade each season as well, aren't we? I don't know if we're going to start with that or end with it.
Can I?
Go on.
I was just going to say before we ended, who was the first club that we watched to lift a trophy that is supported by one of us on the show?
The Columbus Crew.
Liverpool.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Columbus Crew. Yes, Conor's going to keep doing that, and he's going to keep. And you know what? Good for you, buddy. But just remember, I can mute your mic remotely. So change.
Okay.
Right. So we're not going to go through every single club in great detail because some things are fairly obvious. I mean, the top 3, most of us thought would be the top 3. I think that's fair to say.
And I got them in exactly the right order.
Exactly. I was slightly out.
What about Burnley?
Yeah, we'll get to Burnley. I'm sure. Just got to scroll down and find my notes for that part of things. I am really pleased about Aston Villa though, because Graham, who's in the comments, laughed at us when we all said we were betting big things from Villa this season. We thought they recruited well. We thought they'd done really well in all the pre-season, and we were all proven right. In fact, better than any of us predicted, I believe.
Yeah, I predicted Villa 6th. They ended up 4th. Unai Emery proving himself to be an absolute master. It's a hell of a season, and now they're of all players as well. He pulls things out of left field as Emery. They're now re-recruiting Ross Barkley.
Yeah. Hello.
Mental.
Hello.
Richard Stocks, evening, sir. Member of the CWF, likes Doctor Who, knows his wrestling, talks football. Great to hear the chocolate velvet voice of podcasting with his views on all subjects. Also great that he's alongside talented people on each format. You are far too kind, sir. I am made by the people I podcast with. Without them, I'd just be some dickhead rambling into the ether.
And thank you very much for calling myself and Konor talented. I certainly appreciate it. I'm sure he does too.
Flattery will get you everywhere with us.
Including in this guy's case, into bed, apparently. So okay, so again. This is what happened when we're live, of course, guys. So Tottenham finishing up 5th in the end, which is higher than I thought they would.
Yeah, I had Spurs 8th because we didn't think they'd really strengthened significantly. I am happy with Brennan Johnson turning out to be a decent signing. Because that was one of my predictions, I think, when he signed when we did that on deadline day.
Yeah.
But by no means a failure of a season for Spurs. 5th is decent.
The Timo Werner loan and January really helped them get into gear. I think
he chipped in a bit. Yeah, he chipped in a bit.
Scored a couple goals
and
here and there.
And he's got time. He's there for another year. So I think he's already integrated at least. So there's gonna be no need to like ease him in, sort of thing. He's already knows what's going on, sort of thing. But you've got to feel this is crunch time for Ange Postecoglou here. I've been practicing saying the name. He needs.
You still thought to.
I did, but I tried. I don't know about. I keep getting distracted by Conor's shirt. He looks like Charlie Brown. I keep getting distracted by it.
Blame whatever you want. Anyway, you said about crunch time for Postecoglou. I'm not sure because he had a great start to the season. They ran out of a bit of steam. Every team this season was hit by injuries to some degree.
Haaland was out for 2 months.
Salah was out for 2-3 months, including the AFCON and the injury.
Indeed. And let's not forget, of course, that Ederson in Goal for City has been dogged by injuries all season long. But Ortega's done a great job when come in, obviously.
During
Alisson was out for Liverpool.
Timber towards ACL, first game of the season.
Yeah, that was devastating.
But what I was building to is that, effectively now, I think with his style of football, Postecoglou has enough good grace that he's there as long as he wants. To go back to KPB's question before, how long does he have? He's there as long as his patience lasts. It'll be interesting to see him get another summer under his belt and where they go from there, because a few things haven't quite worked. I think I hear the rumours are that he's looking at shipping out Richarlison, which, great, I can't stick that guy, get him out of the league. Just we'll see how he goes. I think Vicario was one of the signings of the season.
Yeah, so that'll bring him up, yeah. Yeah, he was quite good. The left back, I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. I want to say Regulion, it's not Regulion.
Left back for him. He ended the season at Brentford.
Yeah, I'm thinking
after a loan at Man U.
Who's left back I'm thinking of?
Regulion?
Emerson Royale.
Royale?
Yeah. He came in, did a good job, I thought, at times. Yes. Oh, he had a really good season. Porro had a nice little spell at the beginning and end of the season. Bit quiet in the middle, but they've got great potential. Absolutely. And they reinvested the money quite well from Harry Kane, I felt, in good players. And they didn't bring like a massive superstar name. They did make the Kulusevski deal permanent, which was good.
Yeah, I think that was agreed before Ange even came in.
Yeah, but it's still something that needed to be done, obviously.
Good piece of business, yeah.
Yeah, it was. But the thing is, I don't like it when I don't like the whole loan with a mandatory purchase. Just buy them. Why are you loaning them for?
We know why. Well, we know why. It's how football finance works. It's the unwieldy beast that it is. You loan them in, you promise the money later, and then it's all to do with balancing the books on either end. I won't go into the ins and outs of player amortization and the spreading out of the fees and whatnot, because quite frankly, I don't fully understand it, and it's boring as sin. I was just looking at my predictions table.
Find that on Only Dance.
God, no, that put me to sleep. Looking at my predictions, I actually had Chelsea 7th, and they finished 6th.
Yeah, I had them 9th, mate. Let's not go. Yeah, Chelsea had a. Given that they managed to get them back into European position, and they were in the doldrum at one point. In fact, we did say, could they go down at one point? They obviously didn't. Obviously, they rallied quite well. Konor come in.
They got Conference League this season, right?
Yes.
It's set up perfectly for them to win it. Could you imagine if they get knocked out?
That's what I'm hoping for.
We're going to say they passed the group stage. So they should win their group easily, whoever they get drawn with. But if they get knocked out in, say, the round of 16, the memes are going to be incredible.
The memes will be even more incredible, dude, because I do believe that as of next season, all European competitions have got the same format, and they're going to have that big old table, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually looked into any of that, but is that what they're doing, like a round robin thing?
I believe that everyone now plays. I believe it's 10 games.
So,
Right.
But
is
I
it?
don't know yet if it's all if they're against the same people, if they're against different people, if they actually are playing like one home, one away, like they do currently. I'm not sure. But I
I
do know that if you get knocked out after the group stage, you don't drop down.
Mm.
so there's like a playoff.
It's about fucking time. I
So
believe more or less. We'll contact more towards like new season, of course.
what
But the Conference League, there's a lot of good teams in it this year,
I would
which is
like
good.
so for I think what would make the European competitions fun is if they did like a G1 climax style tournament. You have your groups, you play everybody in your groups once, and then if you win your group, you automatically move on. And then if you finish second to whatever, you get drawn in with these other teams for a one-off playoff game. And then if you lose, you're out of the competition. You win, you move on. But that's just my thinking.
Well, feel free to put your ideas in an envelope and send them to Geneva, care of FIFA. Um, I'm sure they'll be interested here, mate. Richard Stacks in the chat again. Socks in chat again. I apologise. My reading is terrible today. I'm so sorry. Currently watching your fine selves while getting agitated and annoyed by not actual people on Football Manager. Is Sai in there by any chance? Because Sai tends to annoy a lot of people with playing Football Manager on a PC, which he's been from the dark days. If Sai, if you're watching later on, I did not. That's written for me by Mag. It's fine. Right. Right. Now, I need to address the elephant in the room. At this point, having mentioned his
Yes, what do
lordship.
you need some?
Oh, charming. Usually it's me, sir. I need to just address the fact of, as Graham mentioned earlier in the chat, I had Burnley to finish 10th. I genuinely thought Company was gonna keep them up, and they were gonna storm it, and do really, really well, and place high. I was wrong. I would admit I was massively wrong. Now, granted, this probably isn't as bad as when I said Man City were going to qualify for the Champions League the year they won it by 20 points.
Won the Champions League by 20 points.
Won the Premier League by 20 points. It probably wasn't my best hour, that one, for sure. That's up. This Burnley one is not as bad as that, but it's up there with me picking Zack Ryder to win the Royal Rumble. He wasn't even in it that year.
So, I had Burnley to finish 16th.
I think I had mine the same as Dan. I had high hopes for Burnley this season. What did they do? First couple of weeks of the season, they burnt that high hope building to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, our friends like Mags and Chris and people like that who are really, really passionate Burnley fans, and I mean, Chris goes to the game still. He's welcome back anytime he wants to come back on the show. I know that he's obviously dealing with stuff as well, obviously, and his lordship, of course, has an open invitation anytime if you want to just pop in and shout at us for like get off his land, that sort of thing. He's welcome to do that, of course. He we were hoping Burnley were going to stay up. Company isn't a bad guy. I mean, look at it. If the guy can get relegated and then become the manager of Bayern Munich, he must be
Burnley suffered from naivety. The way I kept seeing this on Match of the Day, where they're saying we can see what Burnley want to do. They just don't have the personnel to do it, and they're at such a level where any mistake gets punished.
Yeah.
Now, that's all well and good, but it also shows either an unwillingness to deviate or a tactical inability of Company. It's actually quite reminiscent of early days Klopp teams when he came to Liverpool, when it was just full ball, and the plan B was to do plan A better. wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Correct
Yeah,
me if I'm wrong.
it was.
Oh
no, you're absolutely bang on the money, unfortunately.
And that ultimately bit them in the ass several times. I mean, you look at some of the stats for the season. The top scorer was Jacob Brun-Larsen from the left wing, who scored 6. Foster and Amdouni got 5 each. Dafra Fofana got 4, and he signed on loan from Chelsea in January.
Yeah.
Just wasn't enough.
Not great.
Just wasn't enough quality. And I admire them sticking to the principles and saying this is the way we play, this is the way we're going to play, come hell or high water. But it cost them. So
it did.
Fair play to company if he makes it work at Bayern. But I guess we'll see.
Remember at the beginning when we did our... Oh, sorry.
Is
it? I'm good?
Yeah.
All right. I don't remember when we were, I think it was the week before the Community Shield game. I said Burnley has a better chance of survival if they start a experienced vet in the Burnley system in Muric. And I hate to put the blame on players, but starting a 21-year-old League Two player based off of the performance that he put in at the under 21 Euros last summer for England, and start throwing him to the Wolves and starting him the majority of the Premier League season. Now, keep in mind, I hate to blame the players, but if you want a chance at succeeding, you would think you would go with the familiar goalkeeper in your system.
You would think so, but there's all manner of things behind the scene we don't know about. I remember at Portsmouth, for example, they didn't play David James for last 2 games of the season because they'd played him. They owed Aston Villa some money. I believe that's right. I could be wrong there, Dan, but
I remember hearing something like that.
Yeah, but I remember Portsmouth deliberately left a goalkeeper out for the last 2 games of the season to avoid paying out extra in fees for transfers. That can happen sometimes, that side of things. We also don't know if there's something behind the scenes on, maybe he pissed off a manager, that sort of thing. It can happen. I mean, we've seen all manner of things. I just love the fact that Konor actually literally threw his hands out and said, I'm so done with this. Literally, I've never seen Konor do that all season long. I mean, he's actually lost the will to live with how bad Burnley turned up with that game plan. I love it. Burnley was a missed time on my side of things. Before we continue the rest of the league, we should probably acknowledge we talked about charges briefly earlier for City. We need to talk about 2 teams being deducted points this season, and they both stayed up comfortably in the end.
Yeah, the teams that I predicted to finish 17th and 18th respectively, who actually finished 14th and 15th, Wolves and Everton. I want to just throw it out there now. We bemoaned the lack of recruitment for Wolves. They still didn't recruit a lot, but Gary O'Neill had got a hell of a tune out of that Wolves team for a lot of the season. But they had Mateus Cunha and Hwang Hee-chan fit and firing, Max Kilman at the back, Jose Sarr in goal. That the emergence of young Bellegarde in midfield. They've been. I know. I'm just thinking of like a little medieval helmet for your penis. Helmet, if you will. Gary O'Neill's done incredibly well. One of the managerial performances of the season. And Sean Dyche, my tongue will turn black for saying it because, I'm a Liverpool fan and I'm praising Everton, but he's done bloody well. He got that defence sorted out. They were mean towards the end of the season for the most part. They were not conceding anything. That was a Dyche team.
They got points of Liverpool.
How amazing was Jared Braithwaite at the back for them this season?
Let's not go too far. I don't want to talk about it.
How many times did he save them in a game?
Oh,
How many?
one could argue that's his job. One could argue that, but the fact of the matter is that they became, and this could maybe please Dan a little bit more. They end up relying on him because I'm going to say that midfield forever, as good as Dyche got that defense right, midfield was shocking, absolutely shocking. You could pass it. You could pass through it like a hot knife through butter.
But it does get quite rhythmic to say when they had Onana and Ghana and Decore and Ghana.
So I have one more quick thing to say about Everton, then I'll get on to when I think about Wolves. But KPB says he's back. Bully giraffe, neck too short, legs too long.
I don't want to know.
So Everton, I don't know how they do it. You're in and you're out. They always avoid the drop. They're like that stingy little gnat that you can't kill. They're just buzzing around the relegation zone every single season.
You say that they avoided it by 14 points this season, and that's with an 8-point deduction. So without the 8-point deduction, they would have been mixing it up with Brighton and Bournemouth in 11th and 12th place.
Well,
which, and let's not forget, 1 point without the point deduction, they would have been over Chelsea as well. But obviously, the point deduction affected their recruitment in January, of course. So
I should say Nottingham Forest is like that so far, and then Wolves, they're just there. Wolves are just like, we're here. We're here another season. Nobody really pays attention to us.
Thing is, it's a funny one because Wolves, I can almost class Wolves' season as a success because I expected them to be fighting relegation. In the end, they were pretty comfortable. Good 20 points clear. And I had a wider point to make on that, and it's completely escaped my head. So I'm just going to move on to the other club that I think we need to mention for overachieving, and that's Crystal Palace.
Yes. Obviously, Roy Hodgson left due to medical reasons, I believe, during the season. He
had a couple of iffy turns. Yeah.
I'm saying with love, Roy, stay at home now.
I'll put his health first. That's the main thing. He's been a great servant to football.
He's earned his retirement, and I'll be honest, I think Palace were wrong to ask him to come back for another season.
Yeah, probably. He got them out of trouble last season. I think it's, and I just admire the man's drive and passion for football, even at nearly 80 years old. It's incredible, and the fact that he did want to do it, and like I said, credit to him, he tried. It didn't work out, get going that extra 6 months or so. But Oliver Glasner, he has turned that team around. He's worked out a system that is not only maximising Olise and Eze, but is making Jean-Philippe Mateta look like Jean-Pierre Papin.
Mateta bagging goals in toward the end of the season. Eze is in the provisional Euro squad. Will he go? Yeah. Should he go?
There's an argument to be made for all the France and England should be, and I think he can also represent Nigeria. And there's another country, but I can't remember who it is that Olise can represent. There should be a firefight for his signature, to sign up to represent international.
Anything at the international level is possible. Like, I didn't think the United States was going to get the commit from Wayne Balogun, but here we are. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, Conor's so happy when he starts talking about US soccer in terms of the national team sort of thing. We will be covering US national team games, Conor. Don't worry about it. We will do that here on the Volley. Okay, we will do it for sure at certain points, as long as England aren't playing the same day, obviously. On that note, KPB in the chat is asking what's our thoughts on England's chances in the Euros. If you've not answered that, we haven't yet, KPB. We'll throw to the token American in the room, Conor. As a neutral, England's chances, your thoughts on the Euros?
I believe I said it on Good Card, Bad Card. England is my dark horse to win this tournament. They're not my dark horse. They're my straight up pick to win this tournament. If England doesn't win this tournament, then something's wrong, and it's probably Gareth Southgate.
Okay. Whilst I agree with you, because I thought when Southgate became manager, I thought that was a big mistake, but he did win me round because we did so well in 2018 and 2021. However, I genuinely think, Konor, and I'm going to say this with love and respect, you're off your fucking trolley.
So, would you say a team like a France? Would you put Italy up there again?
Italy haven't qualified.
They didn't?
Yes, they have.
Did they? I thought they didn't qualify.
You were thinking the World Cup.
Probably that's what it was. Yeah, I've got to admit my mind hasn't been on their group really, so I apologise about that. KPB is thinking we're going to be out in the semis.
Might do. I think France are up there as a team. I have a sneaky feeling about Portugal. They've got a group of really good young players in there, and yet they've still taken that pair of old bastards, Pepe and Ronaldo.
Well, they've got to have the overage players, haven't they? They'll go to the fucking Olympics as well, won't they?
Yeah. It's just a sneaky feeling about Portugal. You can never discount a team like Spain turning up again because it's been a while since they've done anything in a major tournament, or even somebody like Croatia's made the semi-finals of the last 2 World Cups. And
there's not discount Germany, of course. They're the hosts, obviously.
Belgium
goes a long way.
And they are Belgium. They've just announced their team, of course. And of course, Trossard is in the provisional team, and he had to go. He did a revelation for Arsenal. As a revelation for Arsenal since they signed him last season. Single-handedly took Liverpool apart earlier this season as well. So there are so many good things about that Belgium side. I mean, they've been world number one, and they haven't won fuck all trophy-wise.
When you think about Belgium, and I promise this is the last international. This is the last international I'll talk, but Belgium, this might be their last hurrah of the quote-unquote golden generation with the likes of Lukaku and De Bruyne to win something. Otherwise, this generation, if they don't win this tournament, this golden generation for Belgium has been a complete waste, in my opinion.
I do agree. And Dan, you're pretty good at these sort of things. I need to just check. This is the first time that Kevin De Bruyne will be going to a tournament not injured in the last game of the season, I believe.
I've no idea. That's a tester. I'd have to look back in the archive.
He was injured before the World Cup. He was injured before the Euros. And he got injured in the Champions League final a couple of years ago as well. I mean, the guy can't catch a break normally, so I'm glad to see that the best players will be at the World Cup. No, World Cup at the Euros. I'm going further. Going to America already. It feels like.
Should we bring it back to the Premier League?
Bring it back to the Premier League, buddy. Yes. We got distracted by KPB's question. Thank you, KPB. And everyone else in the chat, throw us your questions in. We'll get to them throughout the conversation here. We're nice and loose. Into the bottom half of the league. Dan, where do you want to go?
Well, I've said a bit on Crystal Palace. One of my, looking at the bottom half of my predictions, I predicted West Ham 14th. They ended up 9th. Moyes turned it around. I know the West Ham fans weren't happy with him. Another managerial departure. So fair play to Moyes for having a good run in Europe and making getting West Ham to 9th. I'd say Brentford are a pretty big disappointment this season. 16th. 1 point behind Everton. I suppose Thomas Frank was keen to point out that for a club their size, that staying in the Premier League and establishing themselves is a good thing, and I'm inclined to agree. But given how well they've played in the past and some of the big scalps they've taken here and there, can't help but feel they could have been a bit higher. So I suppose you go to the other B team, I would expect their position to be flipped with Bournemouth. Dominic Solanke's had an exceptional season, firing them to 12th.
Yeah. I'm pleased to see Slanky doing well at last. I mean, Liverpool got a lot of money for him.
Should be in the England squad.
Certainly on form, anyway. Your thoughts, Connor?
Who are we on? I got distracted. We're talking about Bournemouth.
Were you looking at shiny things again, were you? Yes. Like a magpie. Yeah, we were talking about Bournemouth, as you guys said, America, yes.
I don't call them Bournemouth. Bournemouth.
I know, because you are sensible.
Bournemouth, they're another one of those clubs that you don't really hear much about them. They're kind of like Wolves. They've been like Wolves the past couple of years. They're just there. Dominic Solanke, he is him, as we like to say now. Should be in the England squad. Should go to the Euros over Ivan Toney, but that's neither this or that.
I think England will do the same as me. Further get any further when reaching the semi-stage. Oh my god.
Richard, I love that you commented that, and I love it even better that I made Matt read it out.
Oh god, it's after 9 o'clock as well. It's fine. Okay, brilliant.
Hey, I'm not going to say that. Never mind.
Yeah, you're all good, mate. You're all good.
I was going to say I don't have that problem.
You wouldn't.
Wow.
You wouldn't, mate. You're in your 20s.
You mere child, you child. Right.
Back to the stiff competition of the Premier League.
Absolutely, more stiff competition. Absolutely. Fulham. I know that they finished very much unlucky 13th. I was hoping they would finish on 13 points because I have this personal vendetta against a man who had a mountain of cocaine, allegedly, in his back room. But one can't argue that I think they'd be happy with 13th. I am still angry that first game of the season at home, they were charging over £1,000 for a family of 4 ticket in the newsstand.
That's shocking.
I mean, like,
and the highest cost season ticket.
Yeah, for a family club like Fulham. I'm sorry.
Ticket prices are outrageous, and they're even worse here stateside because we have Ticketmaster. They're online, so you got to pay for your tickets. So, like, my mom and I went to Crew Match a couple years ago, 2021. It was $50 a ticket, so that's $100 right there.
Yeah.
Then you have your sales tax, so probably $150 there. Then you have your Ticketmaster fees, which are your convenience fees. So I think it was like probably $350 just for 2 tickets, 2 people. Who
were you playing?
We were playing New York City at the time. And
so
that was the year that they won MLS Cup, actually. But
I mean, at least they could back it up a little bit because it was a big game, that sort of thing. You can argue that sort of thing. Whether or not it's right, you can argue it. You can't really argue it when you have what I've proven when recently Inter Miami went for a friendly and didn't send Suarez, Messi, and
it was a league game. People
were furious.
It was a league game.
But they haven't got to play everybody. They haven't got to do it. There's no guarantee that, wrestling phrase, card is subject to change. Just because you have these players in your squad doesn't mean that they're going to play necessarily.
It's a very entitled our way of thinking. If fans have complained that much that the squad that the teams had to put out a statement, there's like, we only bought these tickets to see these players. I was like, well, fuck you, buy them to watch the team.
I think the problem was Vancouver marketed as come see Messi and Suarez and
right.
You know,
in that case, it's their own stupid fault.
Yeah. That's their fault, then definitely.
Yeah. I think it was the way it was marketed.
Yeah, but also I've seen how a team have jacked the prices up in general because of Messi and Suarez, etc., which is just wrong. It's just wrong. And given how at one point MLS was all about capping like fit money with the cost of living crisis, hopefully they can get on top of that because it's ridiculous.
Unlikely. Of all places in America, you're never going to put a cap on capitalism. But back to the Premier League.
True. Yeah, we keep getting distracted by MLS. I'm so sorry.
I think we have one team left to talk about, and it's one that I would say had a successful season despite going down, and it's Luton. Because of all the teams that came up and got relegated, Luton played by far the best football.
Do you know what? There was a wonderful banner they put up, and we covered up the last game of the season. Yes, it's not available to see now, but we covered it, and there was a chance that they could have stayed up. It would have taken a massive swing, but it didn't work out that way in the end, obviously. Very, very sad to see Luton go down. I'm sad.
Great entertainment. They played out of their skins for a lot of time. Nearly took points off, I think, Liverpool, Man City, and were a minute away from taking points off Arsenal.
They
gave some big hitters.
I do believe. I think Man City actually did. Did Man City get a point on the end, or was it all three today against Luton in the end? I'm not quite sure.
I can't remember which way it went. But
they gave him a scare. They gave him a scare. They gave Liverpool a scare. Yeah.
Arsenal. They gave Arsenal a scare. I think Arsenal won like 4-3.
Declan Rice.
They were not afraid to mix it with the big boys, and the banner at the end, like, we don't care. We're going down. You made us believe. And I'm like, the manager cried his eyes out, and you know what? I felt it. They've lived if Luton never come back to the Premier League again, if they never do, I hope they do, then they can say that they've had one hell of a season.
But not only that, they gave great entertainment to the league, played some great football, gave some big teams some great scares. They revitalised the careers of Ross Barkley and to a lesser extent Andros Townsend. Townsend was without a club after suffering an ACL. I think it was an ACL tear in his 30s. It's very rare to come back to that level from that injury. And then they've launched the career, in particular for me, the standout, and we'll come to this later on when we're doing the sort of plays of the season, Alfie Doughty. Teams in the Premier League should be looking at that guy. Just the amount of assists and the couple of goals he scored in a team that got relegated, a newly promoted team that probably shouldn't be there in the first place, considering what the overall project would be. They were way ahead of schedule. Alfie Doughty looked fantastic. It proved that Carlton Morrison looked great up front. I'm gonna forget names as I go through now, and I just love the success story of Pelly Rudder-Campanzu, who has been with Luton since National League and made it all the way to play for them in the Premier League. That's never been done before, and it'll be a bloody long time before it's ever done again.
As you see there, KPB said, lived in Luton for a while, always had a soft spot for them. Understandably, mate. We fully understand that, for sure. He also not happy about Messi mania, as he calls it.
Can I go ahead and say something about Luton real quick before we move on?
Go ahead, mate. Absolutely, you can. Anyone about Luton? Yeah, go ahead.
So every home game that Luton had, I made sure I tried to watch this season, even if it meant getting up at 7:15 in the morning for a 7:30 kickoff. There's just something about Kenilworth Road and the Luton supporters that it just draws, like it sucks you in. And I'm not even a Luton fan, and I was cheering for Luton. You know what I mean?
It's a quote-unquote proper club. That is old school English football. The ground where it is a proper community club, like a grassroots level.
I've been looking for like American sports comparisons, but you can't really find anything to compare it to.
And I think, mate, that speaks to the difference of American sports being largely franchise-based and being transitory, moving from occasionally moving from city to city and not necessarily taking root for any great length of time. Whereas these football clubs some of them have been around and part of people's families and lives and whatnot for more than a century.
The closest comparison that I can find is American college football. Like, I'll have to send some clips, but I don't know.
I know college football. I've seen clips. I've seen stuff. I think is it particularly in Texas where it's absolutely rabid.
In general, college American football actually is way more intense than NFL. I've seen them like fill stadiums that are bigger than the NFL stadiums. It's only like the college game. It's wonderful.
I was born and raised in Ohio, and in Ohio, it's all about Ohio State, and their stadium's over 100 years old, and it holds about 100,000 people, and it's hard to compare one completely different sport to another, but that is the best atmosphere comparison that I can find. But there's one of my favorite sayings is there's no sport like soccer in the world. There really isn't. You can't find a comparison to it. You just have to experience it in order to understand.
Quite right.
I think the closest in terms of fan bases, you could argue maybe ice hockey, because they are rabid fans. They really are, for the fans that go to ice hockey. I'd say, looking at other sports, you could maybe say a French wrestling crowd, maybe. That was intense at Backlash. Or the British.
We're getting off topic again. Back to the Premier League.
We are. But
I'd quite like to be done by about 10.
Sorry. Fan base is a big deal, as you say, though. Yes. Sorry, Dan.
Absolutely.
I'll save my other ramblings for the end of the show if we have time. So
we'll make time for it, Konor. Don't you worry.
So yeah, we basically very, very good Premier League season overall. I mean, there was action at all ends of the table. There was action on the pitch, off the pitch, in the courtrooms, which is, we don't want to see it in there, but it's happened. So
we've got nearly an hour and 20 minutes in, and we haven't mentioned VAR. And nor will we.
No, it's being voted on. We'll talk about it in the new season. But of course,
we'll talk about it in August.
But what is coming, of course, for next season, of course, is the semi-automated offside, which should speed things up. Thank goodness. Konor, I think, is just climaxed. This is brilliant.
I would like to go back to the previous statement I said earlier in the show. Thank you very much.
I refer my colleague to my original statement. You sound like a lawyer for 45. Right, okay. Dan, we've got a few little bits of business. We want to talk about, the band need to change here because it's time for Dan Griffin's players of the 23-24 season. We will, of course, pass judgment, of course, as we're going through. Dan, take the floor.
Yeah, I'll go club by club. I'll briefly say it. Konor will no doubt have something to say about the first one because I'm going alphabetically. So my player of the season for Arsenal is William Saliba. It's purely because he played every single Premier League game. I think he played every single minute, and he was part of the defence that produced the most clean sheets. I could have given it to Raya. He had a few high-profile cock-ups where I can't remember Saliba putting a foot wrong really all season.
I think for Arsenal, it was a 3-horse race. You could say Saliba, Gabriel, and Declan Rice. They were really the heart of that defense. But I got nothing negative to say.
Oh, you're not going to go away. I would give an honourable mention to Trossard because of how impactful he was, particularly from a bench at times. But Saliba's a good pick for sure, Dan.
Fair enough. I'm going 1 for 1. That'll do.
I would also real quickly give an honorable mention to Odegaard, my favorite Arsenal player, because he's just a magician in the midfield for Arsenal, year in and year out. But there's my honorable mention.
I think we'll come to him later on. Go on, Dan.
Literally. Aston Villa is an easy pick. Ollie Watkins, 19 goals, 13 assists, back up to Harry Kane in the England squad, quite rightly.
Yeah.
I'll be amazed if either of you can pull somebody else out of your hat for that.
Martinez had a good season in goal.
He
had a good season, but
so I'm going to pull a rabbit hat here and see what you guys think.
Sure.
I think Leon Bailey.
He had a good end to the season,
but I don't remember the start.
Exactly.
I think Douglas Luiz continues to impress in midfield, but I do think that Watkins, just goals alone, is the reason why I could put him.
Would you give a shout for Moussa Diaby?
No. He dropped off after October.
Yeah, he thought he had the fire, but then it was more like an ember in the wind.
He couldn't get a start for most of the second half of the season. You can tell I spent most of my time going through stats last night, can't you? So Brentford, I do prefer Speedball Mike Bailey. Yeah, he's a fantastic wrestler. Brentford was difficult because they had a disappointing season, but I decided to go for Joanna Visser. And a lot of these do come down to goals. He managed to get 12 goals in a poor season, but also had to step up to fill the gap left by Tony.
Yes, yeah, you can bet on that one. That's for sure.
I'm gonna say my player of the season for Brentford was Mbeumo.
That's fair enough. He actually scored less than Visser, funnily enough. So Visser was Brentford's high scorer in the league. This is purely Premier League stats, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, room for improvement. Would definitely think they need to improve for next season. But yeah, good shout out. Good shout.
Yeah, Brighton again. Difficult to pick someone out. They had a lot of promise early on. They brought in Ansu Fati, brought in a couple of solid players. James Milner decided to go over there after his Liverpool career finished. A lot of promise early on. João Pedro, really good signing. Had a decent in front of goal. But I've gone for the beating heart of their midfield. I've gone for Pascal Gross because even in, again, a forgettable season for Brighton, where they either played brilliantly or got spanked, more the latter than the former, he managed to get the joint third most assists in the league with 10.
Good amount of assists, that's good.
At the beginning of the season, I thought it was going to be Evan Ferguson, and then Ferguson got injured, and then he fell off dramatically. Like, he fell off of the face of the planet dramatically. But yeah, Pascal Gross for me.
Okay, Dan?
Bournemouth's an easy one. Dominic Solanke, 19 goals for Bournemouth.
Helped me out in FPL a lot this year.
Yeah, me too. Should be in the England squad, as I said before, for me. Burnley was very difficult to pick, and I've gone for the most arbitrary of reasons. And it's actually going to be directly contradicting Conor's opinion from earlier. I've gone for James Trafford purely because even when he was losing, he still looked decent, and he somehow made it into the England squad.
I mean, his defense was non-existent.
Yeah, but then I'll be honest, I'm second guessing it now because while you were talking about it before, I checked in on the stats for Trafford and Muric. Muric played 10 games, conceded 16 goals, so 1.6 goals per game. Trafford played 28 games, conceded 62 goals, which is obviously way more than 2 a game. But still, he managed to. It was a bit like when Foderingham was playing well, but Sheffield United were shipping goals. Moving on, Chelsea's an easy. Chelsea's an easy one. Their player of the season, Cole Palmer, 22 goals, 11 assists, 45 million quid, and ridiculous in a club that is that dysfunctional.
No complaints there.
I mean, how do they? I mean, I still can't get my head around how they can be that dysfunctional.
That's how.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, it comes from the top down. Bowley's pissing about. He's playing football club owner. He's playing some sort of fantasy football,
Yeah.
and the
He's
manager is there
playing.
to pick up the mess.
He's playing Football Manager.
Yeah.
And that doesn't go well normally, does it?
No.
Doesn't normally go well for you.
Um,
I would say Cole Palmer is probably the signing of the season in general.
Definitely up there.
I mean, signed, really surprising. A lot of people when he was signed, literally became maybe the coldest man from a penalty spot I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes, he can't take a penalty anywhere near as good as Cole Palmer. If Cole Palmer gets a chance to take a penalty at the Euros, he will bury it.
Yeah.
And I will have full confidence in that man doing that. That's how I would if you want someone to score a penalty to save your life right now, you pick Cole Palmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Crystal Palace, again, it comes down to goals a lot. This Jean-Philippe Mateta, already mentioned him. 16 goals for Palace in a team that were relegation candidates for the first half of the season. But also, that is the most goals scored in a Premier League campaign for Palace since they came back to the Premier League in 2013-14. The only other person to come anywhere near that was when Ben Tekkers scored 15 for him in that run.
Yeah.
Conor's disappointed in me. He's walked off.
He's walked off. Connor's so happy at all, and now he's just smirking, trying to like sheepishly come back to his camera.
Just as I was about to talk about a goalkeeper as well, for Everton, in fact, it's first of two goalkeepers back to back. For Everton, it's Jordan Pickford. In fact, it should be joint Pickford and Branthwaite. Second most clean sheets in the league, and the battling relegation and the points deductions. Taking all club allegiances aside, Matt can shake his head as much as he likes. Don't give a shit. Fine. Should we change it to Branthwaite?
I'll take Branthwaite, yeah. Branthwaite, fine. Pickford, I cannot take this shit.
I hate him. But can you hack it? Fine, we'll go Branthwaite because the next player is a goalkeeper.
Okay.
Because Fulham again, I was going to go maybe Rodrigo Muniz, but his season came in sort of fits and starts in front of goal, and he did well deputising for Raul Jimenez. But I've had to go with Bernd Leno because he's another one who played every minute of every game and managed to keep the third most clean sheets in the league.
So who was he behind? David Raya and who else?
I don't have it in front of me.
But
I'm assuming it was Allison, wasn't it?
Pickford.
Yeah.
Ryan Pickford, Leno.
Okay.
Let's not forget though, Leno literally rebuilt his career after basically becoming a shell after a shell of his former self at Arsenal. It didn't work out for him there. He rebuilt himself very nicely at Fulham.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, credit to him. The big one now, Liverpool. And this is a left field pick.
Can I predict?
You can.
I'm predicting you've gone for Dominic Szoboszlai.
Szoboszlai. I'm gonna say McAllister.
No.
No.
That was my second pick. So.
Jota.
Nope.
Last prediction. Okay.
We can hear a while, mate. Let's not go through Liverpool called one by one. Okay. Dan, who you picked?
My player of the season for Liverpool is Joe Gomez.
Yes.
And it's probably because he started the season as the fourth choice centre back. He's ended up playing 32 times in the league across right back, centre back, left back, and if you include the cup competitions, he played one game at central midfield. And he's forced his way into the England squad. If Luke Shaw's injured, Joe Gomez will have gone from Liverpool's fourth choice centre back to England's first choice left back.
Joe Gomez is a great shout for sure. I am not going to disagree with that. I would like to give an honourable mention to Conor Bradley, who at the start of the season wasn't even in the Liverpool squad, not English. he wasn't even in the Liverpool squad, and come the cup final, he was playing right wing because Salah had gone off injured.
I'm just going to get a quick run in, not on camera, but just voice. Mum, who's your player of the season for Liverpool?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Do you want to go out the room and tell us when you come back?
Sticking with the theme.
Think about
Sticking with the theme of a hard choice.
Oh, God. Sir.
That's your
So
mother.
moving on.
Absolutely.
Moving swiftly on. Luton, honourable mention for Morris and Adebayo, who both scored 11 and 10 goals respectively in the Premier League. Great by anybody's standards. Incredible for a newly promoted team. But it's got to be Alfie Doughty. 2 goals and 8 assists from left back.
Yeah, I mean, from left back to always a good shout. Always a good shout. Can't really argue that one.
Yeah, I like Doughty. Man City is
Pick
Foden.
one. yeah. The man who just looks weird. He looks so odd to look at, and yet he's one of the most talented footballers I've seen in a generation.
Who are we talking about?
Sorry about that. My internet dropped out. Man City's Phil Foden, 19 goals, 8 assists. Proper breakout season for Foden.
Yeah, Foden. He looks so weird to me. He doesn't look like a footballer. He looks like he's done 5 rounds of Mike Tyson while Tyson was asleep. He is arguably one of the most talented players of this generation, maybe of any generation. And this summer he needs to deliver in an England shirt because he does all this great stuff for City, but he's not performing in the England shirt, and he needs to do that this year.
To be
Hang
fair,
on a minute, boys. We've got the running. Mama Griff's player of the season for Liverpool.
I'm torn between 2.
All right.
Van Dijk, because of the way he's come in as captain and he's led the team, and Harvey Elliott for not getting as many games as he should, but making a difference and always playing with a smile on his face.
There we go, Van Dijk or
I
Harvey
like the
Elliott.
Harvey Elliott pick. I like that.
Konor agrees with Harvey Elliott, but that's just Konor fantasy.
Yeah.
To be fair, he's not uneasy on the eye.
Bless him in his little noodle head.
But to be fair, he's also, I think, the same age as Konor. So Conor's got a chance. And last time I checked, Harvey Elliott's single as well, Konor.
If he would shave the beard, then I'll be sliding into the DM.
Okay.
Sliding straight into the next club.
Yes, please.
Man United, I had to pick somebody, and I didn't want to pick Bruno Fernandes, who scored the same amount of goals. So I've gone for Rasmus Højlund. 10 goals, 2 assists at 21 in his first year in the league. It's not half bad. Take the price tag out of it because he can't help. No player can help the price tag.
Absolutely. We've got thumbs up there. Nice. I'm not sure where that came from, but thank you for that. We've got people watching on Twitter right now, so thank you for thumbs up.
Great.
I'm pretty I was pretty impressed with Manu coming in though.
Yeah. If we're doing a breakout star, Manu should probably be the one.
So much so that he's in the England squad for the Euros. And he's in good form. Players who are in form should be in these squads. They shouldn't be in there because of who they are. They should be in.
I'm changing my pick. Matt has made a good point. The Man U player of the season for me is Kobe Mainoo.
I'm very pleased about that. I think Konor actually would agree on that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few more clubs left to go.
Newcastle next week.
Newcastle, didn't speak much about him before. And this player just sort of quietly went about his business because I did not realise he scored this many. Alexander Isak, 21 goals and 2 assists in 30 games.
That's
because he was on the bench. He was on the bench for one of them, and he missed 7 games injured.
The
So
Swedish
scored in 2/3 of his games. You can't fault that. Nottingham Forest was difficult again, but I went for Morgan Gibbs-White, who again was the joint third most assist maker, like Pascal Gross. But he did that in a team that were deducted points and again were relegation battlers. Could have also put up a shout for maybe Chris Wood.
Yeah, he goes. I'd just like to bring some breaking news, Dan. You know, you picked Alfie Dowie.
Alfie Doughty, yeah.
Yeah, he's off to Brentford.
Great move. Great move. I would have taken him. I would have taken him at Liverpool as the backup left back for Robertson, to be honest. But I like that move to Brentford. That's left back's a position that they've struggled in. I think they've been playing regular on there. Rico Henry is another one of their fullbacks. He's been injured. So
he's going to get some playing time at Brentford.
He'll be in my fantasy team next season. Definitely.
Yeah, in more than one. Okay, so
4 clubs left.
Yep.
Sheffield United again. I was scraping the barrel with this one.
Fodringham, because he kept the score down.
Well, at one point, I very nearly put in Ben Brereton Diaz because he came in on loan and scored 5. But I decided to go a different tack. I've gone for Vinicius Souza because he was. Whenever I've seen him play, he's a grafter. He's a battler in midfield. Bit of a dirty bastard. But even despite the woeful defence, he still made the 3rd most tackles in the league with 125. So imagine how much worse it could have been without him protecting the back 4.
Oh, so much worse. So much worse.
Tottenham contest. Yeah. Tottenham again, it was a bit of a struggle because nobody scored a massive amount. Nailed it.
Wow, he didn't even let Dad finish talking. He was like, Vicario. Yeah, he was a great signing. Hugo Lloris, Hugo who is what I can say to that. Vicario.
He is struggling right now.
Yeah, yes, you can't argue with the success Vicario has been in that goal. He's certainly bailed him out many times this season.
That was my internet again. Sorry, lads.
You're all good, Dan. Next one, please, buddy.
Yep, to West Ham was a pretty easy one when I thought about it. Jared Bowen, 16 goals, 6 assists, back in the England squad, rightly so.
Will he still be there at the start of next season? We'll find out.
I agree with you, but I would have gone Kudus.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse is if you're looking for the best free kick taker in the league, Ward-Prowse is up there.
Ward-Prowse was a fantastic signing for very, very low money. I think he was a safe signing, and he delivered many good set pieces, corners, free kicks. He's got a wand of a foot, and yet he doesn't go to tournaments. I just don't understand it.
Because outside of that, he's not. Outside of that, he's not. He doesn't do any one aspect of the game very well. You know, I'm sorry, he doesn't do it exceptionally well, I should say.
Well,
he doesn't.
Well, I'm thinking, Ward-Prowse is the guy. He's the guy where, like, if it's a big tournament, you can bring him off the bench if it's a short free kick within shooting range and have him take it.
And I'd also like to point out, Dan, the amount of times Beckham went to tournaments and he was not the best person to take because of the impact he could have.
Beckham was a mercurial generational talent. And James Ward-Prowse, while he's a very good player, is not David Beckham, even though he's broken Beckham's record for most set-piece goals.
David Beckham cannot compete in terms of the amount of free kicks scored in the Premier League by James Ward-Prowse. We can argue
because he fucked off to Madrid.
All right,
maybe so.
So one of the things that annoys me is people try to compare different players from generations, like from different eras, like David Beckham, fantastic for his era. You could say the same for James Ward-Prowse. It's like tomato, apples and oranges. Pick one.
No, Matt's wrong.
I could be wrong.
Anyway, Wolves player.
Yeah, Wolves player. Hwang?
No, I was tempted again. He was good for like half a season, got injured, didn't quite come back the same. Same for Mateus Cunha, same for him. So again, I had to go with somebody just literally by
Max
virtue of
Kilman.
playing every minute.
Max
Got
Kilman.
it again. Max Kilman at centre back, yeah, played every minute of the league season, ever present, and the best ability. The old saying is that your best ability as a footballer is your availability.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, if you're available, you've got more chance of being picked half the time. KPB,
voice of reason. Only a few players would survive in any generation. Yeah, it's a fun debate to have. It is ultimately a bit pointless, but yeah,
one that could be quite fun to have during the summer.
Absolutely.
Right, so
that's it. That's the players of the season.
That's the great picks there. At this point, we need to. I'm going to throw to Konor here because Conor's been working very hard on more than one on something very, very special.
Tossing the baton to Konor.
One could argue, yes. Konor has been working on his Handsome 11. And we're now about to put it on screen. Konor, I'm going to ask you, in as professional way as possible, please explain your choices for the Volley Handsome 11, please.
I believe the most professional way to put it is boing.
Okay, so excuse me if I have to squint here. I'm on my phone. So end goal, I went back and forth, but ultimately I picked Kepa from Real Madrid. Any arguments there?
He spent a lot of time sitting on the wood this season.
Well, he was injured.
We're
not going by playtime here. Left back, I went Sosa from Ajax. Center back, Bastoni, Inter Milan. Second center back, I had to include a Columbus player in there, so I went ahead and did Ivan Treberko. Right back, Ben White from Arsenal.
Boo.
The first defensive mid is Keenan Dewsbury Hall from Leicester City.
Stately home.
Yes.
Second defensive mid in this 4-3-3, I got Declan Rice from Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Left wing, Harvey Barnes from Newcastle. Right wing, Garnacho, Man United. And up top, we have Lautaro Martinez from Inter.
Now, they're very good picks, Konor. They're very good picks. Now, I decided to go from, in my opinion, all-time Premier League.
All right.
My ruggedly handsome 11 is now streaming at the bottom of the screen.
Andreas Christensen, the man's got a head like Easter Island.
Good head. Marco Babel, Cesar Azpilicueta, Mason Mount, Xabi Alonso, Steven Gerrard, Martin Odegaard, who Konor did not select in the end. So I was quite happy.
He picked Harvey Elliott. It's fine.
He did pick Harvey Elliott, that's for sure. Davor Suker, remember him? He was a handsome devil back in the day. Timo Werner, again, rugged Germanness, never a bad thing. And Jermaine Defoe, because I like a nice short guy.
Oh, little Jermaine.
Yeah, an absolute legend for everything he did with young Konor before he, no relation obviously, before he died.
All right, Dan, I'm going to throw it to you. If you had to pick one starting 11, who are you picking?
Wow,
I'm going for the one with Xabi Alonso and Steven Gerrard because I'm not gay, but I'd let either of them have a go on me for 20p.
I think attacking wise, I think defensive wise you might have the edge, Konor, but I think in terms of that midfield, that engine room is pretty strong.
I feel like the front three is pretty solid too. If I had to pick,
I mean both of them. Yeah. Oh, hello. KPB is saying no. Man City players, Konor. KPP taking offence to you picking Man City players for your handsome 11. I don't think you did pick a Man City player.
Just pointing out that there aren't any.
Madrid, Ajax, Inter Milan, Columbus, Arsenal, Leicester, Liverpool, Man U, Newcastle, and
honorable mention does go to the Man City player of the season, Phil Foden, because I think a lot of homosexual men would ride him like Seabiscuit.
Oh my God.
He's got the ears to hold on to.
So does Gary Lineker.
He actually, to be fair, back in the day, he wasn't that attractive. To be fair,
I'll take your word for it.
I think I need to get away from this topic quite quickly. Yeah, absolutely.
Getting a bit excited, are we?
Do we have? Yeah, I think maybe we should. Yes, just drop that away. There we go. So, gentlemen, our last.
Funny thing is, that's not even Conor's knee.
I've never seen a man change position so quickly in my life. So,
yes, you have.
Gentlemen, this is the end of the first Premier League season on the Volley. Would you behave yourself, children, please? How have I become the adults in the room? Seriously. Right.
Because I started talking.
Gentlemen, our final thoughts on this Premier League season. We're happy with how it went overall. We will be back next year, of course. But Dan, your final thoughts.
It's been a hell of a lot of fun. Another tight title race. It's always good to see a team taking Man City to the limit, even if it's not Liverpool. Live in hope that somebody can topple them next season, because as it stands, the only team to do that in the last 6 years is Liverpool. A season full of change with managers departing and new managers coming in. It's very bloody exciting coming up. And this one, if we get anywhere near the amount of goals next season as we did this season, it's going to be a hell of a fun time.
If we half as good, then we'll be on to a winner. Mr. McCabe, even though you haven't, because of various movings and everything on, you haven't been here for every single show, it's been wonderful having you as part of our team this season, and obviously you are back again next season and throughout the summer, of course. Your thoughts, and I'm going to give 10 seconds before he mentions Columbus Crew.
I just got to say, bring on August, and I was outshined in the ball knowledge department by a long mile. So that's all I got to say. It's been a fun season. Probably the most fun season I've watched in a long time.
As if on that note, KPB in the chat had actually said thank you to us for a wonderful compliment to his footballing season. KPB and everybody who's watched the Volley this season, all of our guests we've had, loved you all. I think I can say on behalf of all of us here on the Volley, myself, Dan and Konor, thank you to SciPow and SJP World Media for putting us on the network. I know you say that you let us do our thing and we have so much freedom to do what we do on this show. Thank you for letting us do that, and thank you for keeping the lawyers at bay at times as well. We will be back in the new season. We'll be back in a week or two, maybe two, for our Euro look ahead, and we'll be covering as many games as we can from the Euros. Can't guarantee we'll cover them all, but we'll cover as many as we can. And
definitely not. Some of us work office hours.
Thankfully, most of them. Thankfully, because it's in Germany, most of them are decent hours for us in the UK. True. Thank goodness.
Early mornings.
So, on behalf
of mornings and middle of the afternoon for me.
Yep, indeed. So, coffee and maybe odd samosa for Konor. On behalf of us all here,
samosa.
Volley. Samosa? What was I thinking of?
Mimosa.
Mimosa. Oh God, I go to bed. I'm not up at 5.
You take your ugly hand to bed, Matthew.
I will indeed. Thank you from all of us on behalf of Konor, Dan, and myself. This has been the Volley. That was the Premier League season. That's full time. and we are out of here.